What's up, family? Take care of a couple of administrative things first, and then we're going to jump into the heart of the matter. Man, if you're interested in a coaching or mentoring session, man, hit me up through email or I don't have Twitter, but email or Instagram, Facebook Messenger. My information is in the my information is in the comment section. All right. Same thing if you feel as though this channel's blessed you in any way, shape, or form, it's helped you in any way, shape, or form, man, and you want to sow into what we're doing here, again, you can do that through PayPal, CashApp, or Venmo. All that information, again, is in the comment section. That being said, got all that mess done. We're gonna have a real heart-to-heart. You know what I mean? And I mean that literally. We're gonna have a heart-to-heart today. This is gonna get kind of deep. Okay, just bear with me. It may take me a minute to make it make sense, but it all makes sense. You know what I mean? We have to learn to get our ego under control. You know what I mean? We have to learn how to check our ego. Our ego is not our friend. I'm gonna say that again. Our ego is not our friend. I talk a lot about the ancients, you know, what they believed in the old times. And what a lot of people that are indigenous believe still to this day is that the human body has 3 brains. I'm gonna say again, the human body has 3 brains. Our ego has us convinced that it's the only brain. Our ego has us convinced that it needs to run everything. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. The ancients knew that we had a brain in our gut region. You know what I mean? I believe, as did a lot of the ancients, that our soul is housed in the gut area. You know what I mean? And this is where the term came from, trust your gut instinct. Your gut instinct. Stay with me. I believe that God dwells, the spirit, our soul dwells in our gut region. Okay? And it relays whatever information intuitively, it relays that information. It receives information and it relays that information to our heart and then to our mind. This is going to get kind of heavy. Our solar plexus area, 3rd chakra, whatever you want to call it, that region right there is where the soul dwells. And it's funny because, not funny, but our prana, our energy comes from that area, is stored there. We are born with a certain amount of energy and it's housed in that area. Okay? Prana / energy, same thing. It's housed there and it feeds the rest of our body. Okay? When we eat our food, we drink liquids, whatever we drink, all that goes down into our gut region and is converted into energy that again goes to feed the rest of our body. When I talk about alignment, what I'm really talking about is getting our 3 brains in alignment. Okay? And what I mean, the ancients called our stomach, our solar plexus area, that brain, they called that our first brain. The first brain. The second brain is our heart. And this is why a lot of times we could be like arguing, you know, or fighting within ourselves over, man, I love this person, but then our mind is saying, no, don't trust this person. But our heart is saying, man, this is the one for me. But our mind is saying, no, Don't trust them. They're bad. And woo-de-woo. Our heart and our mind aren't always aligned. Our heart and our mind can be at war with each other. And it's really not our heart and mind at war with each other. It's our mind, our ego at war with our heart. It's our ego at war with our gut. What am I talking about? When we're out of alignment, it's always the ego. It's always the mind. It's always this brain. You know what I mean? This is what's always out of alignment. Your heart is always pure. Your soul is always pure. It always has your best intentions. Always. What doesn't have your best intentions is your mind. What doesn't have your best intentions is your ego. And so your heart relays information through your mind, to your mind, electrically, chemically, and all that other stuff, right? Same thing with your gut. You know, it relays information to your heart, relays information to your mind, okay? Your mind processes it. Your mind has the choice. Your mind has free will. Your mind can say yay or nay. You know what I mean? Your mind can do its own thing. And so when your mind does its own thing, it's now out of balance. It's now out of sequence with being in perfect alignment with the rest of your body. And so all the confusions that we have in life, all the turmoil that we go through in life, it's because we're not in alignment. All of that comes back down to the simple fact that you are not in alignment. Your brain in your up here, your brain in your heart, your brain in your gut are not in alignment. That's why you're stressed out. That's why you're frustrated. That's why you're going through all this turmoil. You know what I mean? That's why you can love and hate somebody at the same time. Because you're not in alignment. And see, here's the trick. We naturally love. We naturally love. Everybody naturally loves. Because that's who we are. That's who we are at our core. But what makes us look like we're different from that, what makes us act different from that, it's not that our heart is tainted. It's not that it's not that our heart is hardened. It's our mind that's been hardened. It's our mind that has been twisted. Once we deal with the ego and get the ego under control and back in alignment, and we're no longer doing what our ego tells us to do, but we're going and we're moved by our intuition, by our soul, by our spirit. We're allowing our spirit to regulate our life. We're allowing our spirit to dictate what we do and don't do. Because our spirit, after all, is who we really are. But our ego, the logic, has us convinced that it knows best, that it's looking out for our best interests, that it's trying to protect you, that it loves you. I don't know if you can hear all the red-tailed hawks in the background. But our ego is always at war with the rest of our body, with who we are, with our soul. And if you're not careful, that term as above, so beneath, when this is chaotic, your gut is chaotic. When your gut is chaotic, your body's chaotic. That's where disease comes from. That's why we have disease. Dis-ease, not at ease, not balanced, not in harmony. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. We have to understand that, we talk so much about being spiritually led. When people talk about being spiritually led, they're just talking about their spirit. And everybody else is like, man, you got to have the Holy Spirit. Man, you have the Holy Spirit in you. You are Holy Spirit. You are a Holy Spirit. That's who you are. The problem is, up here, you don't know that. Up here, you've been convinced that that's all out there. Up here, you've been convinced that you got to go receive that. You are that. You are that. You just haven't learned how to listen to it. You just haven't learned how to meditate and go within. And so when I talk about meditation on a deeper level, because there's different levels, I keep telling them there's levels to this stuff. And so when I talk about meditation, getting in alignment with God, that's just superficial. What I'm really saying is, man, we have to learn to meditate, to go within. And the meditation is to get my mind in line with my heart, because my heart is already in line with my gut. My gut is my first brain. It's where my soul is. And so my heart is in line with my soul. And so all I have to do is get my mind in alignment with the rest of me. We have to understand, when people talk about, man, there's 3 dimensions. There's a spirit, there's the flesh, and, all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Man, we have to understand what we're talking about. We talk about so much stuff, and we really don't understand it. We really don't understand what we're talking about. But because we want to sound intelligent, because we want to sound like we know what we're talking about, because we want to try to impress people, because again, that's all ego stuff. That's all ego stuff. Before you got here, you were a soul. You were perfect. You were perfect. You was perfect. You are perfect in your core. At your core. Your soul is fine. Your soul is already saved. Your soul don't need to be saved. What needs to be saved is your freaking ego. What needs to be rescued is your freaking ego. Your soul is not contaminated. Your heart is not contaminated. They're pure. It's our thoughts that's messed up. It's our thoughts that need to be saved. It's this brain up here that needs to be saved. That needs to be rescued. And it needs to be rescued from the ego. We have to grow up. We have to grow up spiritually. We have to grow up intellectually. We have to grow up. And I know this goes against a lot of the dogma. I know this goes against a lot of the religious teachings. I understand that. I understand that. You cannot reach your full potential holding on to old toxic beliefs that don't serve you. You cannot walk into your quote unquote promised land season staying in your comfort zone. You have to grow up. You have to grow beyond where you're currently at. That means you have to die to those old toxic ways. You have to let that crap go. My hope and prayer is that you learn to meditate. And that you learn to sit there in you, understanding that, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm loved. I am love. Now that you know that, now you have to walk in that. Now you have to live in that. But your ego don't want to let that go. The ego wants to stay at war with you. Your ego don't want you to feel loved. Your ego don't want you to feel like you're accepted, because it controls your emotions. It controls you. We're emotional beings. Excuse me. We're emotional beings because we haven't learned how to get our emotions under control. And you only get your emotions under control by your emotions in your mind, your third brain, being in alignment with your second brain and your first brain. That's how you get your ego under control. That's how you bring balance to yourself. That has to be aligned. If it's not aligned, then you're out of balance. The great majority of us are so far out of balance, but because we've lived this way for so long, we have no understanding, no concept of how far out of balance we are. Because the great majority of us, if the truth be told, we live in our minds. We stay in our minds. We can't stop thinking. We can't get outside of our head. And that's how your ego controls you. That's how your ego manipulates you. My hope and prayer is that you take the time to understand who you really are. You're not the bad person. You're not all those things that everybody said you were. You're not all those things that you've done. You're not all those labels and jackets and everything else that everybody's giving you because of what you've done. You're not those things. I don't care how many people you've been with. I don't care how many times you've been married. I don't care how many times you've been locked up. I don't care about any of that stupid stuff. That's not who you are. I don't care if your family disowned you. I don't care if you're the black sheep of the family. That's not who you are. You are love. You're love. And all the hell that we've gone through was for you to learn that you're love. All you're desiring to be loved and to be accepted and all that other stuff is really just your heart, your soul crying out to you saying, hey, here I am. Love me. Love yourself. And I'm not talking about just your flesh. I'm talking about who you really are. We don't love ourselves because we don't know ourselves. We think this right here, this is who I am. This is not who I am. This is just a housing unit. This is just a jacket. It's just a hoodie. This skin is just a hoodie for who I really am. We have to understand that. Once we understand that, and once we understand that we're our soul and not this up here, all this up here was just a playground. And what I mean by that, man, it's to get you to understand who you really are. It's a tool to be used. But the great majority of us, we're a slave to this. We're a slave to our thoughts. We're a slave to our ego. Instead of us using our third brain to help us on our journey, many of us are a slave to this brain because we don't know who we are and we don't know why we're here. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.